Walkie-talkies, built for mid to long-range communication, normally used in the military, police forces, construction, in schools, and many other applications, as they are very useful for a variety of reasons. Walkie-talkies are extremely portable, easy to use, affordable. Walkie-talkies, though, have changed a lot over time, going from this all the way to this over a span of roughly 80 years. But the creation of the walkie-talkie is not a one-man story, as it starts with Donald Hings and follows with others, such as Al Gross and companies like Motorola, who contributed ideas that led us to what the walkie-talkie is today, but are also seen as the inventors of the walkie-talkie. Nevertheless, they all had a significant role in revolutionizing communication forever. Donald L. Hings was born in Leicester, England on November 6, 1907, and moved to Western Canada with his mother and father when he was 3 years old. During World War II, he worked for a Canadian mining company named CM&S. Around 1937, the company needed a way to help miners communicate with each other better from remote areas of mines, and Hings had a breakthrough. He had developed this first prototype of the modern-day walkie-talkie. He called it a pack set, but the miners nicknamed it what we know now as the walkie-talkie because of how portable it was. This device quickly became the first widespread version of the modern walkie-talkie, which made most see Donald Hings as the inventor of the walkie-talkie. Hings later earned 2 awards, the MBE and the Order of Canada, for his revolutionary invention in 2001. Donald Hings died on February 25, 2004, after a long and successful life, and died peacefully in his home on Capitol Hill. But that's just where his story ends. Although Donald Hings was considered the inventor of the walkie-talkie, there were some other contenders in the field. Al Gross was one of them. He was born February 18, 1918, in Toronto, Ontario, and moved to Cleveland, Ohio in his early childhood. He became interested in radio when he was 9 years old on a steamboat on Lake Erie, when he stumbled upon the ship's transmission room while sneaking around. The captain let him listen into the chatter, and later he turned his basement into a radio station made entirely from scavenged parts. At 16, he earned his amateur radio license and created the call sign W8PAL, which he had used for the rest of his life. A few years after that, his passion had only grown stronger. In 1936, he entered the BSEE program at Cleveland's Case of Applied Sciences, which is now a part of the Case Western Reserve University. He was determined to investigate the uncharted frequency region above 100 megahertz. After learning about Don Hings and his pack set in 1937, Gross decided that his new mission was to create his own version of this walkie-talkie. So, between 1938 and 1941, he did just that. He patented his own version of the walkie-talkie in 1941. Gross also helped the OSS, the organization that preceded the CIA, create a land-to-air radio system. He used his knowledge of these new, much higher frequencies than were normal at the time to make a radio system that used a frequency of 250 megahertz, which most people thought was impossible at the time. It allowed land-to-air communication for 10 to 15-minute intervals without the need for decryption. After World War II, Gross founded Gross Electronics Co. to further develop his version of the walkie-talkie, which sold thousands of units, and he later went on to invent the pager and wireless phone, which happened to use some of the technology from his walkie. Al Gross was highly successful until his death at the ripe old age of 82. He earned many awards during his career, including the Fred M. Link Award from the Radio Club of America in 1992, the Marconi Memorial Gold Medal of Achievement from the Veteran Wireless Operators Association in 1997, the Edward Howard Armstrong Achievement Award from the IEEE Communications Society in 1999, and the IEEE Millennium Medal in 2000. But like I said in the beginning, there was also a company getting to work on their version of the walkie-talkie. On September 25th, 1928, brothers Paul and Joseph Galvin founded Galvin Manufacturing Company in Chicago, Illinois. That same year, their development team created the battery eliminator, which allowed battery-powered radios to plug into outlets. In 1930, they introduced their first car radio, the Motorola. In that year, they sold mainly to different police departments, but also went international. In 1937, they released a line of home entertainment radios and started advertising nationwide, including printed ads, billboards, and road signs. The next year, they released a wide selection of two-way AM car radios. They released this lineup because they wanted their company to make radio equipment affordable for more public safety agencies to help them improve service to their communities. And then, in the 1940s, two-way radios were getting big after Donald Hings and Galvin Manufacturing came out with theirs. But the engineering team at the company wasn't done just yet. In 1940, they developed the SCR 536, aka the Handy Talkie. This and other handheld radios they developed were extremely useful to the U.S. military and became a World War II icon. That year, Galvin Manufacturing Corporation increased its research and development program when Daniel E. Noble, an engineering professor and FM two-way radio pioneer, joined the company as director of research. In 1943, the company released the world's very first two-way FM radio, which was very similar to the PAC set, but it ran on FM. In the next few years, they released FM radios for taxis, businesses, and other things. They would go on to release TVs, dispatch radios, and pocket TVs, like an early version of a smartphone. Better yet, in 1969, Motorola radios were used to communicate between the moon and Earth on July 20th, when Neil Armstrong stepped onto the moon and said those famous words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." From the start, Motorola was destined to be a staple in American and radio history, and were one of the big contenders in the battle of the walkie-talkies. And that's just what it was. Different people and companies one-upping each other constantly in order to build the best walkie-talkie possible, which happened to lead to communication being revolutionized. These inventions really helped out during the Second World War and are still in use today. Without walkie-talkies, we probably would not have cordless telephones or even be able to communicate during the moon landing. But how do you use one of these charming bites of tech history?
I'm here to show you. Right here, I have a Cobra MicroTalk. It's a pretty small walkie-talkie, and I'm going to demonstrate how to use it. So, to turn it on, you'll hold this button, and it turns on. And in order to change the channel, you press the power button again, and you can go up or down. In order to change the volume, you can go up or down, and it gets pretty loud. And then, in order to, I assume, start talking, you press the call button, I believe, and then the other person on the channel gets the thing, and you press this button to talk.